we need to talk about Mikkel Damsgaard. Hello and welcome back to the Mike Live in 5 channel. We've got something a little bit different for you guys today. It's not your typical run through of like a game that we've just played. Obviously there's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded anything on this channel, and it's because I've been preparing for this video. I'm recording this on Friday, a couple of days before our trip to Chelsea on Sunday. Obviously home form is still great, away form still not great, but I mentioned it on the podcast, which you should go check out if you haven't already. Brentford fans at the moment, we're kind of in this space of we play at home, we look really good, we go away and we look pretty poor. But after every home win, we're always like, could we? Maybe we could. I don't know. You know, the 4-2 result against Newcastle wasn't one that I was expecting, to be fair. I thought it would be more tight. I actually thought Newcastle had the better of the first half, and we came into it in the second, and we blew them away, really. I don't remember them coming close to scoring a goal. We had a few chances. It was just a really great performance. So I'm hoping, maybe not on Sunday, given it's Chelsea, depending on what time this goes out, we'll know the result of that already. But I'm hoping that over the course of the season, we can balance it out, the home form and the away form, and maybe we can think about pushing towards the European places. I've definitely seen enough at home to suggest that we're not going to be anywhere near a relegation battle, touch wood. And I've seen, especially on Saturday, that game against Newcastle, with how attacking we were, how dynamic we were, with Wissa and Thiago and Mbeumo and Fab and Damsgaard coming off the bench. It was an incredible second half, and the best I think we've played all season. But to the point of this video, if we can get to Europe, Mikkel Damsgaard is going to be a big reason behind it. Now, in this video, I want to talk about Damsgaard. I want to talk about 5 things that make him in contention to be the Premier League player of the season so far. There's a few things I want to talk about when it comes to Damsgaard, 5 in particular. One of them being his flexibility this season and the fact that he's kind of adopted a new role, a free role of sorts, which has allowed him to do amazing work defensively and also offensively as well. The second thing I want to talk about in this video is his 1v1 ability. If you look at his metrics across the board, he is statistically one of the best performers in Europe this season, which is crazy when you're talking about a Brentford player. It's kind of the levels Ivan Toney was in terms of striking, but Mikkel Damsgaard, he's an all-rounder because he's a midfielder. And he's as good defensively in terms of the job that Thomas Frank wants him to do as he is going forward. And one of the assets of his game is his 1v1 ability, the way he can manipulate the ball in tight situations, get past people, open up space for himself so that he can pick the right pass, which then leads me on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is his composure and his decision-making, which I think has been world-class this season, especially sort of post-Southampton when he started to break into the team. He is consistently making the right decisions, and that is not something that I've seen from a Brentford player in a very, very long time. The fourth thing I want to talk about in this video, and this is crucial, and it's what makes him the player that he is his chance creation. And under that umbrella comes weight of pass, timing of the pass, and also his ability or just knack for looking forward. He rarely ever plays sideways passes. He rarely plays backwards passes. He's always wanting to get the ball forward, whether that be into the front line, into the penalty area, or across the pitch. He's got a passing range that is just phenomenal. And genuinely, all of these factors kind of culminate into me thinking, and I think our fan base in general, I think we've got the next kind of gem. Brian Mbeumo's in that category. Johan Wissa, to an extent, is in that category as well, as is Mikkel Damsgaard. And we are finally seeing what his potential can be. And that leads me on to the 5th thing that I'm going to talk about in this video, which is the story. The story of Mikkel Damsgaard when we signed him from Sampdoria, to the injuries, to not really breaking into the team, to looking a bit lightweight, to now being our player of the season, to now having 6 goals and assists this season, to now, for everyone in the football kind of world, or the people that watch Brentford, or people that are fans of the Premier League, look at Brentford and they look, well, Johan Wissa and Brian Mbeumo are really good, but there's also this guy behind them who's been just as good, if not better. I mentioned at the top of the video that Brentford could potentially sneak into one of the European places this season, and if we do, it will be because of this man. And he's drawing comparisons amongst Brentford fans like this one that are just, you never thought that you'd see something like this, and to see it in the Premier League with someone that we'd kind of given up on, it's just a bit crazy. Let's just get straight into it. This is 5 reasons why Mikkel Damsgaard is a Premier League player of the season so far. So the first thing I want to talk about with Mikkel Damsgaard is his new role this season, and it's a freer role than he's ever had at Brentford before. When we talk about Mikkel Damsgaard, he's normally occupying the left-hand side of the pitch. So he'll either pop up in these half spaces here, or if Sharda was off the pitch, he sometimes starts like we did at Everton on the left wing, but in possession he comes central and kind of drifts across this line. But the interesting thing with Damsgaard this season is that he's kind of got a free role in there. So when we've got two holding midfielders and everyone's a bit further up the pitch, let's say Wish is occupying centre-backs, Sharda's further up, Brian's further up, Norgard and Vita are on the halfway line. Damsgaard and their midfielders will be there. These guys will be a bit more pushed up. Wiss is on the centre-backs. But what Damsgaard has been doing this season, he doesn't really have that much defensive duty because he's getting behind the midfield line and he likes to operate in these spaces in between the midfielders and the defence of the opposition. He is just working this space in possession and out of possession, and that is what has allowed him to be so good defensively because he's going into space. When the ball is turned over high up the pitch, we lose it, say it comes into Wisser and he loses it around here. Because he's in so much space, there's no one who's marking him really, and that's why he's been able to pick up loose balls in and around here. And probably the less sexy part of his game that I'm going to talk about first is just how good he's been at his defensive duties this season. And like I said, he's not had much, but he just pops up in areas where there's space, where the opposition isn't expecting Damsgaard to be, so he can come into those positions, pick up the ball, start the transition, and we're off. And it's happened countless times this season where the opposition defence has been playing around with the ball, Damsgaard comes in and he nicks it off them. He's up there, we've turned over the ball, and then we're away with the runners that we've got this season in Sharda, Wiss and Brian, or Keane Lewis Potter, or whoever it is. But what I'm trying to say is, he just operates in these spaces. When he's on the ball, brilliant. When he's off the ball, even better, because he's always going to try and turn it over, and he's fantastic at anticipating passes, which is what I'm going to get into now with the first set of screenshots. So this was, for me, Damsgaard's breakout game of the season. Just what I'm going to highlight in the rest of these screenshots is his ability to win balls back high up the pitch, which then lead to counter-attacks. So as you can see, very high up the pitch here. He's not really in space, as I said in the last one, but he comes into the space here. He anticipates the danger, and granted it's Southampton, they've been terrible at playing out from the back this season, but he anticipates the danger, gets the tackle in, sends Wiss away, and with a better pass here, we're in on goal. Again, another screenshot from Southampton. Anticipates the danger here, as you can see in that free roll, so much space, no one's picking him up because the midfielders are a lot higher already. This Southampton centre half trying to get the ball, Damsgaard's already sprinting towards him, wins the first tackle, lays it off to Brian, and we go 1-0 up. That's just the case in point of what he's been so good at this season. Because he's so high up the pitch, because he's in between the lines, he's able to pinch the ball off centre halves or deep lying midfielders and get the attack going. This clip comes from West Ham. Flecken kicks the ball up high, Kilman heads it away. Damsgaard's actually in a deeper position this time, comes to get the ball, wins it off the midfielder, sends us on our way on an attack. It doesn't come to anything, but again, it's just demonstrating how good he is defensively. I'm going to show some stats after these clips to really kind of flesh that out. Against Wolves this time, Brian has the ball from a free kick. It comes over to Pinnock in the box, who heads it down. I think there's a bit of a scramble on the edge of the box, but there's Damsgaard in the bottom left corner. He knows the danger, he senses where it is, gets the first tackle. I think he wins the next one in the next clip as well to keep the attack alive. He's so good at this. This is at 1-1, so it's not even like we're in the dying moments of the game and we need a goal. This is 17 minutes in, we're at 1-1, and he's going into tackles and he's not letting opposition midfielders and opposition defenders breathe. He's so busy in those areas, which is fantastic because it's something that we thought Damsgaard wouldn't be able to do. Is he going to be able to hack the physicality of the Premier League because he's so slight and he's so small? Is he going to be able to be that kind of player in midfield who not only does the pretty things, but also does the dirty things well? And he does it so well, especially in the clips that I've highlighted. It surprised me the amount of times that I see him turn over the ball high up the pitch. But what his free roll also allows him to do is just to ghost into pockets where no one picks him up. And that leads me on to the next part of the video that I'm going to talk about. But finally, this is against Bournemouth. This is for the goal that Kepa should have saved, no doubt. Ball comes out to Brian Mbeumo. He drives into the box. Damsgaard continues his run. We know the story from there. Gets a shot off. Kepa should save it. But he's got a free roll. No one picks him up. He doesn't really have any defensive duties. But because he's in that space, he's able to win the ball back and go forward without many markers attached to him. Because it just breaks their structure completely if you try and man mark him. Well, as you saw in the last clip, his free rolls allowed him to get into attacking positions better. And this is what I want to talk about in this Everton game. Ball comes back to Collins. Damsgaard's free in between the lines. All the midfielders there. He's the one that's going to link the play with Wisser and Mbeumo. Little scan over his shoulder to check if anyone's there. No, so he turns, plays in Wisser. Has he got the way to pass? Of course he has the way to pass. It's a brilliantly timed pass. And you'd expect Wisser to bury it in that situation. But that's what I mean about Damsgaard this season. The free roll has allowed him to excel defensively and offensively. The last two clips that I showed you are how he can pick up the ball in pockets, in between the lines and the half spaces, between centre halves. He just operates in those little strips on the pitch where he can hurt teams when he goes forward, but also when they win the ball back, he's then there to pick up the ball again and start the transition off. And just to show you his stats defensively, let's dive into them, because I think they're actually a little bit better than his attacking stats this season. So 90th percentile for tackles, 69th percentile for interceptions, 96th percentile for blocks. But if you think about what his job is in that 10 role, in terms of what Thomas Frank wants him to do defensively, he wants to stop attacks from the front, which is where the tackles and the blocks come into it. And in both of those metrics, he is excelling. The interceptions probably comes more from someone like a Norgard or a Janelt. That's not his job, because if there's passes being played through those lines, the play's beyond him already. So we don't really expect him to be in the upper echelons of this metric. However, to be in the 90th percentile for tackles across Europe's 5 leagues as a number 10 is remarkable. To be in the 96th percentile for blocks in Europe's top 5 leagues is again remarkable. He is just excelling in this role, offensively, defensively. I said it enough times, but we're going to get onto the more exciting stuff now. So what I want to talk about in this section, in terms of his 1v1 ability, is something that I've not really seen in a Brentford midfielder for the last kind of 4 or 5 years. Because we've had that trio of Matthias Jensen, Vitaly Janelt and Christian Norgard, sprinkled in with players like Shandon Baptiste and Frank Onyeka and sort of players of that ilk, we haven't had someone who's a traditional number 10 in that kind of sense since maybe you could argue Said Benrahma's a similar kind of player, although Benrahma used to work on the wing as well. So his 1v1 ability, first of all, I think it's novel for Brentford fans to see someone who's so good in 1v1 situations. But second of all, it's just effortless. It really is effortless. And some of the clips that I'm going to show you now, first one comes against Southampton. So Flecken has the ball, knocks it out to Vitaly Janelt on the left. He pings it in to Kevin Schade, and Damsgaard, as you can see, 3 players around him. One of them's occupying Schade, but as soon as he gets the ball, 2 rush towards him. Can he get Schade out the way? Yes. Can he sidestep Flynn Downs? Can he get past the defender? Yes, yes, and yes. He gets past Flynn Downs there, knocks it round the side here, draws the tackle in from the defender, and we're off on an attack. He then feeds it down the right. But that movement here, to get from this situation to taking their number 4 out of the game, then the 35 out of the game with 2 touches, is brilliant. And the next section is going to be littered with stuff like this. And it was just a joy to go back through his games and just watch how diminutive he is on the ball, how he can manipulate it and get away from people what seems like effortlessly. This is against Man City. I know in recent times they've been pretty shit, but still at this point in the season, you know, we were still all saying that City are going to win the title. This is when we were 2-1 down, to have the kind of the bollocks to do stuff like this when we're 2-1 down against what everyone considered at the time to still be the best team in the world is phenomenal. Chris Ayer has the ball. He's got Kevin De Bruyne behind him, Jack Grealish there, and Josko Gvardiol in front of him. But this is what I love about Damsgaard, in a similar way to how Norgard does it sometimes. Must be a Danish thing. He draws people in just to sell them at the last minute. So he dwindles on the ball a little bit. Jack Grealish comes tight. Kevin De Bruyne comes tight behind him. Gvardiol's dropping off to cover Ayer's run. But he draws them in, gets away from both of them, and then sets us free on an attack. Kevin Schade picks up the ball, and I don't think this comes to anything in the end. But just the courage and the bravery to get on the ball in those tight situations and have players of the calibre of Kevin De Bruyne and Jack Grealish around you, but still think, actually, no, I'm better than you. I can do this. I'm just going to draw you in, take you out, and set us off on another attack. This is against Spurs, similar situation. Vitaly Janelt has the ball. Damsgaard's there at the bottom of your screen, works the line, draws Rodrigo Bentancur into the tackle, sidesteps him, gets around him, sets us on an attack. And it's just like clockwork for him. So many screenshots like the same. I love that little movement that he's got where he just draws you in, sidesteps, manipulates the ball, and he's gone. The Damsgaard, see ya. He just draws you in, makes you think that you have a chance of winning the ball, and then he's gone. It's fantastic. This one I think was my favourite one against Wolves. I don't know what Ethan Pinnock's doing on the floor there in the box, but the ball gets hoofed up. Damsgaard anticipates that Reine Nouri's not going to play a great ball in. He's got 3 Wolves players around him. All the Brentford defenders are still on the edge of our penalty area. Keane Lewis-Potter's too far away for him to do anything. The ball drops to him, takes one touch over the defender, swivels through the gap, sends Kevin Schade on his way. And as we know, Kevin Schade should have scored from this chance. He ends up fluffing his lines. But in that movement there, you've got the first touch, the ability to swivel, and then he's got the weight of pass, which is going to lead me on to the next section quite nicely. But first, a few more moments of Damsgaard brilliance. I think it's a throw in, it comes out to Norgard. Janelt's going to pick up the ball in midfield before popping it into Damsgaard. Here you've got Garnacho, Casemiro, Martinez all around Damsgaard here. Again, draws in Garnacho, draws in Casemiro, makes you think that you're going to win the ball, gets in between you, and sends us on our way. It's a trademark. It's a trademark Damsgaard move. Next time you watch him, next time you're at the G-Tech, if you go to Stamford Bridge on Sunday, watch how many times he does it in the game, because it is straight cash money, and I love it. We've not seen someone do this for Brentford since Saïd Benrahma, and that is high praise considering myself, maybe Ivan Toney, maybe he's in the conversation to be Brentford's best ever player, but Saïd Benrahma, I used to get excited just to go to the football and see what he was going to do today. And he's one of these players. This, if you were at Villa, it was hard to really spot. I remember spotting it at the time and I was like, I'm going to talk about this in my next video. But this just shows that he doesn't have to beat you in a 1v1 with his skill and with his manipulation of the ball. He can do both. Ball comes over the top from Flecken, trying to find Mikkel Damsgaard. This is just after Cash had scored the third goal. Kevin Schade wins the flick. It comes into Damsgaard down the left. He's got Kamara on his back, so he knows that he's going to have to try and do something special. He knows that Kevin Schade is going to continue his run. So all he does, this is a bouncing ball, by the way. He catches it. It's just a joke. If you can go watch the game back and look at this clip, I'm so annoyed I can't show the video, but the ball comes down on the volley. He Cruyffs it behind him, straight into Kevin Schade's path. And Kevin Schade should do better with the dribble. But, oh my God, if you can go back and watch this clip, just do it. Because it's sensational. It's a touch, like, so Benrahma-esque. It's honestly, I've run out of words to describe how good he's been in these situations this season. The question is, do the stats back it up? And yes, they absolutely do. If you look here, successful take-ons, 88th percentile. Progressive carries, 84th percentile. Touches in the attacking penalty area, 85th percentile. Progressive passes received, 82nd percentile. He is just everywhere, whether he's on the ball, whether he's receiving the ball. He is such a good dribbler. He progresses the team up the pitch by finding space. He brings midfielders out of the game with his little trademark Damsgaard move where he draws you in, takes you out, pops the ball off or whips it around the corner. He's just brilliant. And to be so high up, both in the defensive stats that I mentioned at the top of this video and in the attacking stats in terms of dribbles and progressive carries and stuff like that, it is insane. But what it leads me on to is that when he does these amazing actions, when he gets past players with ease, it puts him in situations where he can hurt the opposition with just one pass. And something that I've seen from Mikkel Damsgaard this season, which again I've not seen in a long time, is he is consistently making the right decisions at the right time. His composure in and around the box to either find the pass that's going to take players out of the game or find the pass that's going to create a higher XG chance, which we know Brentford love to do. If you look all of our chances this season, they all come centrally, and if you look at all of our chances, we normally opt to pass rather than shoot, whether that's a pass into the penalty area, whether that's a pass out wide so we can launch a cross into the box. We're always looking to get the ball into the box, into central areas, and Damsgaard is the master of that. He is the master of it. So this is in the 89th minute against Wolves. The game was won by this point. Fabio Carvalho had just come on. Johnston takes a kick out. I think he heads it towards Mario Lemina or whoever's behind him. Could be Mateus Cunha. But Yarmo picks up the ball, heads it down to Damsgaard. It comes to him in this position with the back facing goal. He's got two defenders backing him up here. He's got Lemina side on. Does he have the composure to take the ball down? Yes, he does. Does he have the composure to take two midfielders out the game with a forwards touch? He's always looking forward. Yes, he does. And can he play the pass to KLP, which eventually leads to the goal from Fabio Carvalho? It's the pre-assist, if that's a thing. If we're going to take it, he's got a few assists this season. We're going to talk about that in the next set of screenshots. But he's also mastered the pre-assist, which I don't know if you're going to let me have. Let me know in the comments. This was against Man United. Christopher Ayer picks up the ball down the left. As you can see, Mikkel Damsgaard around the centre circle here. He's already looking. He knows the space around him because he scans relentlessly all the time. Picks up the ball in midfield. Looks to his right, thinks, no, I want to take these two out the game by feinting a dummy. I want to feint Casemiro so that he goes that way. I want to feint Eriksen so he goes that way. Picks up the ball, turns, has a bit of time on it, drifts it out to KLP. And then we're in the space on the pitch where we can pump that ball into central areas and generate more XG from our chances. This was against Ipswich. Norgard has the ball in a deep-lying midfield position. Damsgaard's just behind Sam Morsey there. He has one scan to his left, one scan to his right. Knows that Maz Versalev probably isn't the best option on the right-hand side. He knows that Johan Weiss is going to make a run into the box. And he also sees Brian Mbumo there, who he's going to end up passing to. Can he make the right decision? Yes, he can. Can he pump the ball forwards into the penalty area? Of course he can. Can he do something which leads to a shot? His shot-creating actions, I'm going to talk about it in the stats, they are very high. I think 86th percentile for shot creating actions. But that's what I mean about his decision making. He's always making the right decisions in and around the box. Can he pick up the ball and just maybe take a little bit more time than other players would in midfield to pick the right pass and just be composed? A little bit of composure sometimes can just lead to us generating these chances that we are frequently getting this season, and he's a big part of that. Another example against Ipswich, Bryan Mbeumo has the ball, drives into the attacking third. There's Mikkel Damsgaard on the edge of the box. It would be easy here to pick up the ball, to shift it over to KLP or try and play Jan out through or give it back to Brian. But he says, no, I'm going to take my time with it. I'm going to find the pass. I'm going to find the space, which is there, out to Mads Röslev. Röslev whips in a ball to Keane Lewis-Potter. And we've got an opportunity inside the 6-yard box where we've got a player taking a touch inside the 6-yard box. He should have shot first time here, and this should be a goal. It doesn't end up in a goal. But again, you're seeing the idea of what Damsgaard's doing. He just takes his time in key areas. This is against Bournemouth, and maybe one of my favourite ones in terms of the screenshots that I've picked out. Keane Lewis-Potter has the ball running up against Adam Smith. He whips it in. It comes back out to Damsgaard on the edge of the box. He gets past Lewis Cook with his touch. And you're thinking from this position, he gets it. He's got it on the volley. You're thinking, hit it. When it sits up that nicely for him, just smack it in. But no. He knows that Janelt's already in the box because he's already made that forward run, gets his head up, fires the ball into Janelt, who's in the half space between the centre-half and the full-back. And then Janelt has a shot on goal from a central area. This one doesn't really illustrate my point to the extent which the other clips have, but Vandenberg has the ball down the right-hand side, loops it up into the air. At this point, the ball's out of shot. You can't even see it. Damsgaard's first thing on the backtrack, his first thought is, can I touch this down? Which will lead me back into the penalty area. You can't, the ball's there, it's going to go even higher. He's backtracking already, sticks out his foot, executes just the most perfect touch that he could have in this situation, brings it back into the penalty area. Here, again, maybe shoot. Can he play Brian? Can he play Wisa? Probably a bit too congested. Doesn't opt to shoot. I actually think he should have here. Tries to drag back towards Norgard, doesn't quite come off. But again, this touch in here is just phenomenal. You're just seeing the quality of the player that we've picked up. And this one for me, this is goal against Villa. And this one was really impressive because he's not only showing composure to make the pass, but he's also showing composure to get the finish away in congested areas. Bryan Mbeumo whips a ball into the box. Johan Wisa gets the flick, which then allows Kevin Schade to challenge for the ball here. Damsgaard picks it up here. He knows that Kamara's running towards him. He could try and play it to Wisa in the box there, who's screaming for the ball. Or what he does end up doing is sidestepping Kamara, opening up a bit more space for himself, getting more central and smashing it into the top corner. This is what I want to see more from Damsgaard. It's the only little critique that I could level at him is that for the positions that he's occupying in and around the box, he probably should have scored more goals by this time. But I don't care as long as he continues assisting, and as long as he's near the top of the assisting charts by come the end of the season, he doesn't get injured, then it doesn't really matter because we've got goals in Bryan Mbeumo and Johan Wisa. We just need someone to feed them. And at the moment, he's doing just that. The last area of Damsgaard's game that I want to talk about is his passing ability. Be that long range, short range, through balls, weight of pass, timing of pass. This season, it's been spectacular. Genuinely. I'm going to run through some screenshots. Then we're going to have a look at the stats to see if they back them up. But this is the first one against Southampton. Kevin Schade is on the ball there. He bounce passes it to Damsgaard. Does he have the weight of pass to send Janelt on his way so that he doesn't have to break stride? Of course he does. Janelt gets there before the defender and we're in a position where we can lump the ball into the box. Again against Southampton, Damsgaard's occupying that position where he's just free, not picked up by anyone in the midfield. Advances with the ball, he plays it down the line to Vitaly Janelt, gives it back to Damsgaard. Will he whip it in here? No, he won't. He'll try and make the chance better by playing the ball between the lines for Jensen to run onto, and we're in a position where Jensen can either have a shot on goal or he can slide it across the back post, which he actually does, and Bryan Mbeumo should be on the end of this finish. But again, you're seeing what Damsgaard can do with his vision and his passing range. This is against Wolves in the first minute when we went on that crazy run of starting fast. Damsgaard plays the ball out to Bryan Mbeumo. He then continues his run down the line. In this position, can you pick someone out in the box? Granted, the defending was woeful, but Nathan Collins has just wandered in unmarked. Can he find him? Yes, he can. Nathan Collins gets the header at the front stick, and we're 1-0 up in the first minute for, I think, the third game running at that point. But again, you're seeing his passing range leading to us scoring goals and creating chances. This was our equaliser against Ipswich. The ball gets played out to Mads Röslev on the right. Brian's going to come short. As you can see, Damsgaard's trying to get Bian Sam Morsi here. He does so, gets the ball. He's got to play the ball here on the half volley with a defender on his back that allows Wisa to run at full pace and get in behind the defence, but crucially without being too hard that the keeper can come out and collect it. Can he do it? Yes, he bloody can. round the defender. Wissa doesn't have to break stride, and we know the score from there. This is against Leicester, and I just want to appreciate this pass just for a few minutes, because you know the one that I'm going to show you. He picks up the ball on the left-hand side, sees that he's got space to run into here. No one's really fussed about him advancing the ball here. But again, it leads into the fact, the 1v1 abilities, the progressive carries. This is what Damsgaard's all about. If he can go forward with the ball at his feet, he will. If he can pass it forward, he will. If there's an option to go forward, you know that Damsgaard's going to take it, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, picks up the ball, drives through the midfield. Kevin Schade on his bike. Can he play this ball? And again, with the same thing, can he play it to such a perfect extent that Kevin Schade does not have to break stride, that he can continue on the line of run that he's already got? Of course he can. Plays a lovely ball, and in this case actually sits back to admire it, and I really don't blame him for it, but bends it round the defender so Schade can run inwards towards the goal and get a better chance at feeding Wissa in the box. That's what he does. Wissa's on his bike. We know what happens. But just to admire this pass in a bit more depth, this angle, to kind of put the right amount of curve on it, the right weight on it, so that Kevin Schade doesn't have to really do anything. All he needs to do is run and then play a ball across the box. Granted, it's actually a really good assist by Schade, but again, the mastering of the pre-assist. Damsgaard has got it on lock, curves the ball perfectly so Schade can run onto it, and we know the score from there. I don't even blame him for dropping off and admiring that pass, because it was a beauty. This is just another example of how Damsgaard's weight of pass can get us into better attacking positions, and it's just perfect. He picks up the ball here. He knows Keane Lewis-Potter's got a bit of space to run into on the left-hand side. Can he play the pass that allows Keane Lewis-Potter to not run out too wide, to not come in too deep, that's not under hit? Can he play the pass that allows Keane Lewis-Potter to just run and run and run and run without breaking stride? And it's exactly what he does. Keane Lewis-Potter picks up the ball, plays it into Jan Wissa, knocks it across to Brian Mbeumo. And just, again, look, the amount of people that we get into the box this season, I've said it before, but like, our runners, the willing runners, and our ability to just go, to have so many options and overload areas that are going to cause the opposition problems has been scary, especially at home. But Brian Mbeumo cuts it back to Schade. We know the score from there. We talked about pre-assist. We're going to talk about an actual assist now. Van den Berg picks up the ball, sees Damsgaard in a bit of space on the edge of the box in that free roll in between all four Leicester midfielders. Picks up the ball there. Will he shoot from this position? Will he try and feed KLP? Will he try and feed Wissa? Will he try and give it back to Brian Mbeumo down this side? Or will he make the right decision, the correct decision? Of course he will. On the edge of the D, threads a perfectly weighted pass through to Schade, who you think, with his first touch, might actually let it get away from him, but after having already scored a goal in this game, the confidence is clearly running through him, and he buries it too. Just to kind of compare Mikkel Damsgaard with some playmakers and people in the same positions in the league who are in and around us in the table or are up towards the top end of the table. These are the stats per 90 compared with Emil Smith-Rowe of Fulham, Morgan Rogers of Villa, Cole Palmer of Chelsea, and Bruno Fernandes of Man United. He is the best for assists, the best for through balls, the best for ball recoveries. 2 chances created per 90 this season, which is much better than Smith-Rowe, a little bit better than Morgan Rogers, a little bit worse than Cole Palmer, and just a tiny bit worse than Bruno Fernandes. But just looking at these stats, to be even in this conversation is astounding. For a player that we'd all given up on, for a player that has only really started to come into the team post-Southampton, to be producing these kind of numbers, which are only going up, by the way. Every game that he's involved in, he's now bagging an assist or a goal or a pre-assist, if we're counting those. But he is just phenomenal. To be in these kinds of conversations, honestly, I didn't think I would see a Brentford midfielder, particularly with the ones that we've recruited in the last kind of 5 to 6 years, be amongst these names in terms of the metrics. And you're starting to see it in terms of assists as well. I think he's about 5th in the assist chart this season, which is only going up. But, to be so close to Bruno Fernandes in terms of chances created, who has been Man United's best player throughout the last sort of 3 or 4 years. In terms of chances created, I don't think there's a player in the top 5 leagues in Europe who have created more chances than Bruno Fernandes. To be almost level with him per 90 stats this year is crazy. To play the amount of through balls that he does, we've spoken about how he's always looking forward. It's fantastic. Ground duel success, to be the second best, only behind Cole Palmer in that regard. To be the best in ball recoveries, it shows that he's adapting to this free role with so much arrogance almost, to think even if we lose the ball, even if you turn over possession, I'm going to win it back for the team and kickstart the rest of the attack. He has just been phenomenal. And to, like I said, to even be in the conversation with players like Cole Palmer and Bruno Fernandes and Morgan Rogers is phenomenal. And you'll notice that I didn't mention Emil Smith-Rowe in that conversation because Mikkel Damsgaard's better. The last thing that I want to talk about in this video and it's something you can't measure. It's the story. It's the story of Mikkel Damsgaard. It's why it makes it so much better, and it makes it so much more fulfilling that he's now providing on the pitch, because we signed him from Sampdoria. You know, he had that famous moment at the Euros. He kind of had a mad Euros, one of the most coveted footballers in Europe at the time. We'd all watched the compilations. We'd watched him dribble past 5 players down the wing and smack one in from the left-hand side of the penalty area into the top bins. We'd all seen those. He came to Brentford, a lot of high hopes. There were concerns about his physicality, I can't lie. We all kind of wrote him off. He had the problem with arthritis. Brentford signing players with injuries, that's no longer a shock. That's just something that we do. But we heard about this, and we lost faith a little bit, I think. I think it's fair to say that we were all kind of wrong about Mikkel Damsgaard. He's had a couple of performances here and there. I'm thinking of the Fulham at home game a couple of seasons ago when we almost got Europe, where you think, maybe there's a player there, but then he gets an injury. And then it turns. And then he comes back for another game, has a couple of good performances. Then he gets another injury. Then he comes back for another game, comes on as a sub and looks too lightweight. And then you're thinking the same thing. But it was towards the back end of last season, after that international break, where we all said, right, this is crunch time now. We've got a game against Burnley. We've got a game against United at home, Sheffield United, Villa, Brighton, in and around that time. And Mikkel Damsgaard came into their team and looked phenomenal. And since then, his curve is just shot up. He's just built and built and built. And each game is getting better and better and better. And I couldn't be happier for him. And that's the last reason why I think he's definitely been Brentford's player of the season. But in terms of the most improved player in the Premier League this season, I think it is Mikkel Damsgaard. Because I'm not, and obviously I'm biased, but I'm not seeing anyone else who has had the curve that Mikkel Damsgaard has had, from going to not really being able to break into the team to now being one of the first names on the team sheet, and he's got the numbers to back it up in terms of the chances created and the shot creating actions and all of these things where he's right at the top of those metrics. He's really starting to back it up. So those were 5 reasons why I think Mikkel Damsgaard is a Premier League player of the season so far. If you've liked this kind of video, let me know in the comments section. Subscribe to this channel. I forgot to mention it at the top, but subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing videos like this. We do full-time analysis shows, all of those good things. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, go and do so now. We've got an episode out on the Newcastle win, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, let me know what you think of this video in particular, because I can do these videos. They take a bit more time. They take a bit more planning. And I can do the full-time shows. But if you wanted me to do one on, for example, with Johan Wissa or Brian Mbumo or any other of our high-performing players this year, let me know if you like this kind of style, and it's definitely something that I can do in the future. That was Mikkel Damsgaard in focus. If you've liked the video, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channels, follow me on X, follow me on TikTok, where I post more short-form content about Brentford, all those good things. All the links for it will be in the description, and I will catch you on the next video.